Newstalk Sports 94.9 WSJM. Dave Wolf, Bret Witkowski wrapping things up at Dickinson Stadium, where St. Joe beats Bsttle Creek Central 55-12. St. Joe finishing the regular season at 6-3, Bsttle Creek Central 0-9. And quite frankly, there's a reason why Bsttle Creek Central was 0-9.
Yeah, just don't have the depth. They lost a lot of players for a variety of reasons throughout the season, including their number one quarterback, who was the best quarterback coming back in the conference. But I will give Bsttle Creek Central credit. I thought their effort was there. I thought they played hard. They just were overmatched, and I thought St. Joe's offensive line, especially in the beginning, took care of that. And then with the big multiple running backs that St. Joe has, 6 to 7 running backs, Bsttle leading the way with 66 yards of reception or running tonight. And then St. Joe's passing game, perfect 3 for 3.
Yeah, getting better than 100%.
Yep. Did a good job, and then the defense did what they had to. And the main thing is St. Joe, I think, is going to come out of this game healthy. The only thing I saw a little bit there was Claire, who's the offensive tackle and kicker, got a roughing into the kicker on an extra point. Looked like he might have rolled his ankle again, and he didn't kick the rest of the game. So hopefully he gets healthy from that standpoint. But as Coach Bradley had said in the pregame, Bears were 99% healthy coming into this last game, and there's really only one player who's gone a little bit both ways, and that's Ciccarello, both on the offensive and defensive side of the field.
With St. Joe, we've talked about that offensive line. The defensive line has really stepped up as well the last couple of weeks, moved a couple of things around, and Bsttle Creek Central couldn't get anything going early. No. And it wasn't just because they were 0-9 and they lost both the players, but St. Joe had pressure really – just from the snap, right off the snap.
And St. Joe gets that pressure, Dave, from their 4 down linemen. They're not bringing a bunch of blitzes. They blitz a lot more in years past. It's one of the things I need to ask Coach Graziano is what's the mind, the thinking, not blitzing as much. You've got the 2 mainstays on that D line with Miller, who I think's had a great season. Johnson is probably their version of the sack exchange. He'll make one-person sacks back there. He does. He lights them up. And then they run different guys in and out from 6'4" up to 5 foot down to 5'3". It's great to see the variety of guys. But that front line has really improved. They got blown off the ball early in the season, couldn't make tackles. Now they're solid, and it's really made the team, I think, a better team overall.
So a year of experience helps that. After the first week, well, yeah, it was rough against Niles, but then Niles is just beat a undefeated Paw team. Yep. But we talked about St. Joe early on. They had the loss against Niles. They had the week off against Henry Ford.
Which I think hurt.
It really hurt them. So when they finally got on the field in week 3 against Thompson Central, they were, okay, we've got time to figure we've figured things out now, and a little bit better each week is what you want to do. And yeah, you ran into Port Central and Portersville in back-to-back weeks, but then you run into Lakeshore, or really Lakeshore ran into St. Joe, and it got knocked back. So St. Joe has been strong these last 3 weeks on the offensive and defensive line. Now, admittedly, last week against Mattawan, they're going up against a nose tackle that was 350.
And tough weather.
Yeah, tough weather, because when you're on the line, it's about the footing. Yeah. And when you're trying to get footing on wet grass, 1, it's not going to hold very well, and 2, that dirt can very well just come up.
And you got to take much shorter strides. But I think here's the key for St. Joe. When they played Niles, that game started off bad.
Yeah.
The opening kickoff went out of bounds, and then from that moment on, it was worst game for the Bears in a number of years. This St. Joe team and coaches could have chose to let that define their season, and they chose not to. And I think it's what I like about sports. It gives you lessons for life. We all get knocked down. We all get kicked around at some point. But is that what defines you, or do you stand up and be the best you can? And if losing 55-0 is the best you can be, then that's what you be. But that was not the St. Joe team. And St. Joe reevaluated themselves as a coaching staff. The players dug deep and realized you can't live off of last season's accolades or players. They're gone. It is your time, and you have to step up. And they had a streak there for a few games where it was fumbleitis.
Yeah.
They kind of overcome it. Had a little bit here tonight, but that was them trying to run some different plays. They ran like the Navy offense, which I think if they can get that timing down will be great. But that's what impresses me about St. Joe. It's not the 6 wins. It's not getting the playoffs. It's that they did not let that opening game define their season, and they corrected it. And if anybody, including myself, would have said this team would have got 6 wins after the first game, they'd be a liar.
We talked about St. Joe, running some different offenses. They also got a lot of players in tonight, including a lot of the JV players, because the JVs didn't play yesterday because Bsttle Creek Central basically brought up their entire JV team for the shortcomings of the varsity team. So St. Joe got a lot of players in tonight. 7 different players, I think it was 7 different players scored touchdowns tonight.
And that just does so much for a team, Dave. You've got young men out there. They're practicing hard. They want to play. They're just not at the level yet. But when a coach recognizes the effort they didn't put in the scout team, and when the varsity does the job that they're supposed to and get a lead, and then the coach rewards them by getting some positive, quality playing time, that makes Monday's practice that much better. And that goes down the line. Coaches can say, well, we want to play everybody, and then they keep the same players out there.
Because if it's a close game, you want to you got to put your best players in.
Right. I mean, coaches are hired and fired in wins and losses. I mean, it's just the reality of every business. And so when an opportunity, and there has not been that many opportunities here this season, when St. Joe is able to get this type of situation, but this one in Lakeshore, where the reserves have gotten some quality playing time. It allows the coach to evaluate those guys in film that they may say, hey, you know what? We can use them for some more stuff. And it also maybe push the first and second team players a little bit in practice.
Yep. So St. Joe finishing the regular season at 6-3. Playoffs are definitely going to happen. Playoffs, yes. Jim Mora.
We love Jim Mora. Too bad he passed away.
I know. But St. Joe.
That's what they said. His funeral, probably.
But St. Joe finishing at 6-3, Lakeshore finishing at 5-4.
Correct. How big is that now?
Yeah. The other games that we're watching was Gull Lake. They were winning tonight.
They were up 27-0 at half.
Against, I think it was
Olivet.
And the one that really has to be watched for St. Joe is really Harper Creek, who play tomorrow at Ford Field against Lynn Christie.
And Zeeland teams.
And the Zeeland teams. I think Zeeland West lost tonight.
Yeah, 14-12, and Zeeland East was winning.
So really, despite the fact that Zeeland West is Zeeland West and what they did to Lakeshore in the opening week, week 9 and week 1 are so far off right now.
Two different teams.
I mean, look at St. Joe. We talked about Niles in week 1. And compared to St. Joe, St. Joe scoring 55 points in week 9, where they gave up 55 points in week 1 and week 1.
I think that was our worst loss
since like the 70s.
And sadly for Zeeland West, they lost their best running back for the season. He was a senior. He's out with a season and an injury, which in their offense changes things dramatically because it's a wing T offense.
And it's such a precision offense that has to be timed perfectly. And it's if you put an inexperienced player in there, things just don't actually work out automatically.
Correct.
But St. Joe winning 55-0 over Bsttle Creek Central to finish at 6-3, 4-2 in the SMAC. They won the SMAC last year with a perfect 7-0 record. I'm sorry, St. Joe finishing at 5-2 in the SMAC. So, yes, third place behind the two Portages. Yep. I mean, the two Portages, they were the best teams in the conference going away.
And Portage Central, I think, proved that they were the better of the two Portages, to be honest with you. I think Portage Northern has a lot more great individual athletes, and I think they play as individuals.
They playing as a team.
I was not overly impressed with Portage Northern. I was impressed with Portage Central.
And like Portage Central is, their style of football hasn't changed for the last, I would say, 40 years.
And here's the reality, Dave. Tonight was one day. The rain passed, right? You couldn't throw the ball that great. And we know the previous 2 weeks you couldn't throw the ball at all. And that's just Michigan. You've got to be able to run the ball. And that's what Portage Central does. The challenge for them is, and for Portage Northern in DP playoffs, then you play some big schools up in Grand Rapids and Lansing, which are, a little step up even from the SMAC conference.
And the thing is, for those offenses, you can't be behind.
No, not Portage Central.
Yeah. But St. Joe winning 55-12. So it's on to the playoffs for St. Joe. We don't know who yet. We don't know where yet. We know kind of that it will be here at Dickinson Stadium for St. Joe, and it will probably be on Friday night at 7 o'clock, but we don't know yet. We'll find that out on Sunday. Be live tweeting it on X or Twitter or whatever Elon Musk wants to call it. But we'll have the postings as they happen on WSJamSports.com and on WSJM Sports on X. So for Bret Witkowski and Joel Cordes, I'm Dave Wolf, WSJM Sports.